All right, so I told myself that I would start making these videos and not try to set them up and make them too polished. So I want to record this before I end my very long day of tattooing. So I was thinking about the last video that I made, which is the first video that I made, and I'm thinking about how, it might look from the outside that I'm concerned or worried or sad or mourning, these birds. And I think that some people think that vegans, people who don't harm animals for food and clothes and entertainment, that we think that humans and animals are the exact same. Well, maybe some people do, but a lot of us don't. And it's important to recognize that those birds on the back of that truck who are being driven to their death, they aren't humans, right? They're not human beings. And it doesn't matter. What matters is that each one of those individuals has the capability to experience fear and pain. Those are very basic functions of sentient existence, right? So those birds are going to be scared when they are hung upside down and have their throats slit. And so we don't have to equate human beings and animals to recognize that animals deserve moral consideration. And I think that's an important thing to sort of, other vegans, we need to be able to speak clearly to that, right? Because I think that, and so now I'm speaking to vegans right now, which is, it's so important for us to have our moral clarity at the forefront of our speaking ability. If you are accused of equating human and animal life, you can say that you do equate them, that's fine. But the response to that from Carnist is going to be that, well, they don't. Humans are different than animals, and humans deserve, right? The better response, truly, is that we don't have to equate humans and animals to recognize that animals shouldn't be harmed unnecessarily. And it's also important to recognize that we aren't choosing, right? It's not that we're valuing animals over humans, because in order for that to happen, we would have to be choosing to kill a human instead of an animal, right? Or kill an animal instead of a human. But we're not choosing that. Right? What people choose when they consume animals, most of us, right? There are, of course, rare situations where somebody doesn't have access to food. We're not talking about, we're talking about me and you. What they're choosing is to kill an animal for taste pleasure. And that's the choice that's being made. It's not an actual comparison, right? It's not an actual transactional equality. So no, we aren't placing humans over animals. We're not saying that humans and animals are the same. We're not saying that it is as bad to, put pigs into gas chambers as it is to put humans into gas chambers. And let me be clear, we're not saying that, right? A lot of us think that, right? It is as bad. And it can be as bad. There is not some sort of moral reprehensibility to say that it is as horrific to gas a human to death as it is to gas another living, sentient being with feelings and experiences and emotions. It is also bad to gas them to death. And it can be as bad if we consider the victim in each one of those situations. It doesn't matter to either one of those victims that they're not the same as the other one, right? A human being gassed to death is terrified and afraid just as much as a 6-month-old piglet is also terrified and afraid when they are being gassed to death. So there is a level of equality that we can get into and we can delve into when we talk about carnists who believe that vegans equate human and animal life. But I think that the initial, forefront of that response should be, we don't have to equate humans and animals to recognize that animals deserve to not suffer unnecessarily. And I think it's really important that as vegans, we always come back to that very moral, clear background and foundation, which is veganism really is not harming an animal unnecessarily. And that's what we recognize. We recognize that it is wrong to unnecessarily harm an animal. So I wanted to like bring all that up before I go to bed. This is sort of a rambly, maybe not super focused video, but I want to make sure that I get more committed to putting my ideas out there and putting my thoughts out there, because I've been doing a lot of thinking, of course, as a vegan, as somebody who doesn't harm animals for pleasure. I think that, and I think it's important. And I want to close with this, and this is really important. This is the last thing I'm going to say, I hope. So we as vegans, we absolutely have to all start being vocally against animal cruelty in our everyday life. That doesn't mean that we have to yell or be emotional or say horrible things to people who do harm animals for pleasure, but we do need to begin having an awareness and a background and a level of comfort with the language that supports animal welfare, animal liberation. So this is to say, remember that when somebody accuses you as a non-animal abuser, when somebody accuses you of placing human life over animal life, remember that maybe you are, and you can keep that to yourself. I mean, you don't have to, but you can keep it to yourself in order to not feed into the carnist viewpoint, right? But the response is, we don't have to do that. Maybe some people do. We don't have to equate humans and animals to recognize that they don't deserve to suffer. Neither of them, right? So that closing thought is to say, that's your takeaway from this. Have that answer prepared when that topic comes up. And then you don't need to explain. You don't need to respond. You can, in fact, stop after that and say, I've said what I have to say about this subject. We can move on now. Be confident in your discussions about animal liberation, because we, as people who do not harm animals unnecessarily, we are unequivocally, absolutely correct. And people who do harm animals for pleasure, carnists, they are unequivocally wrong. And not just according to us, but according to their own values as well. Most people. Some people are sociopaths. But most people who argue against veganism actually also believe that it's wrong to harm animals. So, closing thoughts. Have that moral clarity available to yourself, and have the argument and have the response that, no, we don't have to equate humans and animals to recognize that they don't deserve to suffer. So that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in.